Thank you. Welcome to Shy Speaks podcast. Tonight's show, we're going to be discussing the Black Panther movie. This is the kickoff of Shy Speaks podcast, the first show. So I'm excited. I wanted to thank my guests for coming on. Ladies, go ahead and introduce yourself. Starting with you, Jen.
Oh, you got to start with me. My name is Jennifer Rodgers. I am, a passionate Black woman who wants to embrace her community of Camden, New Jersey, and enrich it, as well as empower our youth with knowledge and tools that I've been able to experience throughout life and pass it on.
Amen. Go ahead. Next up, Ms. Zyhkeya.
Hello, my name is Zyhkeya Waller, and that's it.
All right, ladies, we're going to jump right into it because we got a lot of content to cover as we sit here and discuss this phenomenal historical movie, Black Panther. All right, we're going to jump right into it. First question, though, what character do you resonate with the most?
Jen.
You said who?
I said Jen. I was saying you can go.
I mean, when you took the moment, I was like, oh, she took the mic. I'm going to say Okoye, the leader of the female military.
Warriors.
Yeah, the Warriors.
I would say Nikita.
Nikita?
Yeah. Wanting to be a leader, come and go, help people, and live by my own rules.
Yeah. I'm going to say for me, it was definitely Nikita, and then also Killmonger. Those were my two favorite as far as resonating with me. Like you said, Zah, for me, her being able to be different and not wanting to be bowed down to the tradition and just wanting to be different and have her own freedom, like you said, come and go as she please. And for me, Killmonger, like even though he was a villain, which we'll talk about later, but I just liked his way of thinking and how he was different. I don't think he was strategic and tactful about it in which way he went about it, but I think he meant well. He just didn't have a not so good approach about it.
Yeah, I agree.
I'll say Okoye. I say Okoye because I feel like not only was she stellar in the movie and her role, but just the fact that she was true to herself to me. As far as the scene where she took off the wig and threw it, and the foolishness, to just see a black chocolate woman with a shaved head, just embrace her beauty and her confidence and her love and her passion. And she said she served her country and she served her country with pride. And I think why I resonated with her was you protect home. You protect home. I don't think it was more of a tradition. It's a quote in a movie where Nakia says to her, you're our strongest warrior we have. And she said, come with me. She said, no, I got to protect what I believe and what I love. So it resonated with me because that made me think of family. You stand. I don't care what goes on in life. I'm gonna stand my ground for my family. It's something I believe in and I love passionately, and that's where I want to protect. So I think Okoye for me was I think I was just taking it all by her statue at first, her physical imagery that was going on. And then on top of that, her strength, her courage, her beliefs, and her values. I feel like she was true to herself. So it's the same for Nakia. I think they were two prominent roles as far as females, but for me, Okoye was my favorite.
Okay.
I don't know. A part of Okoye, when she said, that, her loyalty is to the throne, and she was always protecting Wakanda. Yeah, I thought she was very loyal, but I thought it was to a fault. Like, even though things were going, like when Killmonger, he was basically getting rid of their traditions. He like got rid of the plant that helps give them the power. And I mean, and she went with it because that's who held the throne. So I thought
she wasn't there when that happened though. She wasn't there. That was the mothers, the like the nurturers and the I forget what they're called. She wasn't there when
she wasn't in that actual scene, but her, like she said, her loyalty was to the throne.
But her loyalty
she came at the
did
end.
come through. In the end, her loyalty did. She realized that Killmonger wasn't for the best interest of Wakanda, and that's why she turned the warriors.
No, that's not why.
No,
not why. It was because he
disagree.
wasn't dead. So technically, Killmonger didn't win. So that's why she. That's
she said the battle isn't over.
Right, the battle isn't over. Right. Mm-hmm. So her loyalty then went back to Chad, the original Black Panther. But it was loyal to a fault.
Yeah. See, like when she said that, when she was going to go, well, when they asked her if she wanted to go, and she's like, no, my loyalty is to the throne. For me, I looked at it like, okay, well, it's not right, but you're going to not support it, but you have a position, you have a job to do. But for me, I look at it like, okay, yeah, I have a job to do, but if it's not right, I'm not going to go with it. Like, I don't just blindly follow.
Right.
And that's how I felt like when she said that. I was like a little disappointed, like no, she gonna stand her ground because she's a strong woman. But I mean, I also understand her position, looking at it from like a power military standpoint.
But right, and that's also, it was military, all military.
Yeah. So I look at it like that was like blindly following. That was, my take on it. But let me ask y'all this. What was your favorite part of the movie? One of y'all favorite parts? I know it was so many parts.
Yes, and I gotta go see it again. I need to go see it. I feel like I see it 3 times.
For real.
I can really dissect it the way I need to, and then I gotta go read the comics so I can see what was the similar, how similar it was, all that good stuff. But
for me, one of my favorite parts in the movie, I'm actually going to take this. My best friend and I was just talking about it, but as she pointed out, one of my favorite parts of the movie was when they were fighting and they were like on the road and they were driving in the car.
Yeah.
And you had Nakia and you had Okoye. Mm-hmm. You had them too. And then like when he shot at them or something happened and the car, flipped, and you got Okoye with her sword, coming down like pretty much like sledding, but got her sword, and you got
I love Shuri. She was the bomb. I mean, they kept saying how she was the youngest. She was young. She was too young to be so advanced in technology, but. That kind of just was like all this, like when she hopped in the car and she was driving, and even when she was guiding the guy how to kill the ship so that they couldn't get the vibranium out, like she was like a mastermind. Like that was just awesome to see. Like for her, it was important that she was young, because then that's innovation, that's youth, that's fresh ideas. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But she was a girl. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was a great representation. I liked her scenes. Like you said, with that action scene when they were driving and all that stuff, and she was big. She was big for me.
But with that action scene with the 2 girls, Nakia and Okoye, when they were pretty much shot at in the car.
Mm-hmm.
Down, Okoye like pretty much skiing and got the sword down.
Yo, that was dope.
And then
Stop the car. Yo, that was dope.
Nakia just driving with just the steering wheel. Like for me, like I think that's just you attack us. How much you try to throw at us, we're still going to come out winning. Like you can't tarnish us. So, like we have that resilient mindset that overcome and conquer. Like you can't keep us down. That's what I pretty much got from that scene.
Mm.
But Jen, welcome back. We was asking what was your favorite part of the movie. I know it's multiple parts, but just picking one, what would you say?
Favorite part. I gotta think on that one.
I also like the fight scene in the play, the gambling place or whatever, the casino.
Which one?
When they first saw what was his name? The villain. Kane. What was his name?
The guy with the
arm. Was dope. I mean, that was dope. Like how the warrior, what was her name again? You know, I'm bad with names, y'all. When she threw the wig off and she just was jacking. Kobe. She was giving it to the guys up on top, like just doing her thing.
She was. This was a powerful movie for like Black women.
Yeah,
it really was. Like that's the symbolic representation of the Black woman and how. Like we're like behind it, like the strength of a Black woman,
yeah,
and how we hold down like the Black man.
Yeah, definitely.
It was powerful. All right, what are your thoughts of the depiction of the movie of Wakanda and the African culture? Wakanda and African culture.
You said what's the representation of Wakanda and African? Like what?
I said, what are your thoughts on the depiction of the movie of Wakanda and African culture?
I loved it. I love the fact that they made it seem like Africa is a jewel and it has a prized possession within it. And before colonizers, as they say in the movie, came and was able to rip it from all of its natural resources that they try to protect. What Africa really has in it and embedded deep within the woods, in the jungles or whatever, however they, in the bubble of what you couldn't see to the naked eye. You had to dig deep in. Once you dig deep in, you was able to see the core value of Africa. I feel like that's how Africa would have looked before it had been ripped and stripped and raped of its culture, of its technology, of its creativity, of its richness. I feel like if we never, our country never got destroyed in that way, like that's what Africa would look like all over. Like it wouldn't be this fictional movie that we have. Like, and I think that's why the pride in this movie is so heavy, is because we know that's the truth right there. Like,
yeah, that's what we would have been.
That's like what we would have been. That's the greatness. Because like, look at us in America. Like, we still find a way through everything that's been thrown at us. We still figure out a way to make stuff happen. So, I think Wakanda represented Africa beautifully.
Like for me, I look at the purity and the richness, and just I get joy, like just seeing how like the pure and the richness of what Africa could have been, and just how much it just goes to show that we could still rise as a culture. Like if they didn't destroy us, I mean, we're still doing that even with the barriers and the stereotypes that they put on us here in America. To me, I think it just gave us hope. Honestly,
it did. You know what I thought was even more beautiful about Wakanda was the fact that, like, when you think of Africa, you think of, like, most people think of like Egypt, the pyramids, the Sphinx, and stuff like that. Where you say Africa has beauty, that's where you think. Most people, when you hear that, some people will try to take away Egypt and say Egypt is not a part of Africa. But when you try to show beautification within Africa, those are the things you get. Those are the images. But the fact that Wakanda didn't even show those type of representations, like it gave you a whole nother world of like what they built, not off of slavery, because those pyramids and things of that nature were built off of slavery. But you know, I take that word with I walk on that word lightly, because it wasn't like the chattel slavery we had over here in America. But the fact that they were able to actually build a facade of like true artsmanship, true genius work of like, you know, like even with the like the advancement of technology, like I heard y'all speak on that a little earlier, like the advancement of technology. You had the youngest scientist that was able to, you know, how they depicted her role of saying like they was able to create this. So like everything you saw in Wakanda was like first, like that was what stuck with me. Honestly, was like, yo, we ain't, like when you saw Wakanda, you saw things you ain't never seen before. So that's where it was
You
like,
right?
it was like, oh snap, like you ain't see this, like, you know, like, whoa, they like what it made your imagination go like, well, dang, like what could Africa really look like, you know? So I think that was the
And
beauty
also,
in it too.
yeah, and also for me, like I thought of like, you know how they tell you like history is like of the past, but for me, it just goes that showed me that no, it's not just something of the past. Like it's something that's part of you. Like this is something that's part of us. It's not just about the past. It's part of us. Like this could have been us. We can still make it. All right, we're gonna move on to the next question. Do you think Killmonger was a true villain?
Uh, I don't think Killmonger was a true villain. I think Killmonger was your average African American. The chip on the shoulder of like it was so many. He has such a he's like the misunderstood, the misled black person in America. Is like you know you know where you come from, you know your roots, but you don't really know. You know what I'm saying? You've had to be told stories. He was saying my father used to always tell me he was gonna bring me here. I had to believe in a fairy tale. Can you believe a kid from Oakland had to believe in a fairy tale? It's like I could sit here and say, like, yeah, I did my ancestry.com, but I still don't feel it. You know what I'm saying? Like I know what like somebody had to
This is the results I
yeah, these
got,
are the
but
results
I
I
don't
got.
know.
Someone has to tell me this, but like I
Yeah.
can't resonate with it, but I wanna resonate with it. And I think his anger really wasn't, it was a hurt, it was more of a hurt, like even when he went back and you know when you know he went back to the ancestors when he took the throne, he was becoming the Black Panther and he took the juice to like see to go back and be able to see ancestors, and he was able to see his father. And I took that scene very deeply because it was like was instead when you seen Chadwick go back, he was able to see his father. He had tears, he had emotions, he had feelings of like, dad, like I didn't want you to leave, but like when you know Michael B. Jordan went back, it was more so like he had nothing but hurt, and he had the Americanized way of thinking, like this is life, death happens. And you see, like where you look at Chadwick, how they represented the ancestors. Praise to the ancestors, how they would always call upon the ancestors for their guidance and their help, that connection they had. Like, you know, with Killmonger, he didn't have that. So like I don't really feel as though he was a villain. It was like he was a black man that was hurt because he knew his roots. He actually knew his roots better than some of us. And in the real world of you know, blacks in America, he knew his roots because he knew where he came from. He knew his people, but he just had never been exposed to them. So it was like a hurt of like, why could you leave me? How could you leave me? And I, you know, I'm one of the greatest. He was a great warrior himself, but he had the wrong mindset. He had the Western doctrine of how to rule and conquer, and that's why I don't see him as a true villain. I think he's like
Yeah.
misunderstood, but you
I
know.
agree.
Yeah, I look at him as like a victim more than a villain, because like you said, like he's misunderstood. He has that myth, but you think about like, you know, his like you said, a true American, special perspective, father of pretty much like a fatherless child, abandoned, and he's just out here in this world trying to find his way and pretty much making up his rules and structuring his life upon his path. Like he doesn't have anybody to tell him, this is right, this is wrong. But and like you said, going back to his roots, like I know I'm from here. I've been told that I'm from here. I've never seen it, and So when he gets to that opportunity to even take the throne, like the American way of greed, when Chadwick asks him, what do you want? And he goes, I want the throne. And he chased it after that. Hey, we got our other guest just joined us.
What's going on, y'all?
Hello.
What's up?
But yeah, we're at the part now where we're talking about Killmonger, if he's a villain or not. We actually just lost him. But, that's what I think of it as. I don't see him as a villain. I really do see him as a victim, but a victim from being a victim of his society, of his circumstances, and him just trying to find his way.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I agree with both of y'all. I don't think he was truly a villain. I think that he was a product of his environment, and he heard about this place, and he wanted to know if it existed. Why didn't they come for him? Why didn't they? It has all this beautiful stuff and all this advancement, and I'm a part of it. Why did y'all never come to find me, or bring me there? So, his it was just it was misplaced or misguided anger that he had. And I think a part of what he wanted to do was valid, but how he was trying to go about it was the problem.
Yeah, he's trying to find his own way, and he had came up with that. Like that was his answer. So when you know better, you do better. But he didn't have that guidance, like you said. All right, what are some of y'all favorite movie? Woo!
Oh gosh.
Mine was. I mean, so many.
Mine was building
in the ocean,
the bridges.
Okay. Wise Bill Bridges and the foolish Bill Barriers. That one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a tough one. Mine was the bury me in the ocean with my ancestors that jumped from the ships because they knew death was better than bondage. That one was tough.
I mean, I liked that one, and me and Jen had this conversation. Very valid, but we are here today, you and I, because of the people who were able to survive.
Mm-hmm.
So that's you can't negate those who endured, because if they didn't, we wouldn't be here.
You're right about that. But then I also there's an article that I read where they were discussing this quote that when the bury me in the ocean. They said some of them, it was not like they were just jumping to their death. They knew how to swim. So there are some who actually made it back to land and it was able to tell the story. So for me, I looked at that, reading that article, and saying to myself, talk about resiliency. Talk about just not letting anything stop you. Knowing that where to get to, and you're not letting anything get in the way of that. And you just think about that. I'm pretty sure, it wasn't, like they're just doing 50 meters, back to land. It's a lot. Swimming takes a lot out of you. And then having to be able to constantly do that and talk about not having the food, the proper nutrition, but still striving to make it back to the land to tell that story about what happened and what you endured on that ship. The power of resilience. Hey, Ken, you gotta put your seatbelt on, man.
No, what's up, y'all? This is that's not the seatbelt. That's something else with the car. Just think of it as music, like background music.
All right, we're gonna get you in on this conversation.
Yes, I would love to get in.
What was one of your favorite quotes of the movie?
Oh man, was the Black Panther one of my favorite quotes. Well, I don't want to be traditional and say the last quote that Killmonger, aka Michael B. Jordan, had. But one of my favorite quotes, and I'm paraphrasing, is when I think it was Zuri, and she was just like, silly colonizer, what I mean? Let me show you how to do it. I'm paraphrasing, but that was just very reminiscent of like not only like the black experience, but the black woman, because y'all know back in the day, mammies used to breastfeed and midwife and nurse, slaves' children, the slave owners' children and their grandchildren and whatnot. So it was just like, oh, this ain't nothing new to us. So that line really, really stuck out to me, because I was just like, oh man, we thank you God for the black woman, because it is because of her, we are able to just do half the stuff. We're able to accomplish. We're able to have. So that line was one of my favorite lines. I was like, man, you need to respect, revere, and honor the black woman, man. She's been here. She's always been here and always been the nurturer. But okay, well, I'm gonna just make it happen. I'm gonna just do it. But that's reminded that I come from a single parent household, so that's what it kind of reminded me of, and that's why it really resonated with me.
Okay. All right. How would you all say that we create Wakanda here in reality?
Say that again, Chuck.
How do we create Wakanda here in reality? How do we create Wakanda?
Well, I mean, if you went to an HBCU, you would have had that little.
Why are you throwing shade though?
As a kid, I already experienced my own little Wakanda experience, but so
you're wrong for that.
I'm sorry, I love you. So I know how it is in New York and Jersey and whatnot. But I think it's just supporting fellow business owners. We can start with that. They had this thing in Houston. I forgot what it was for. I think they were trying to boycott something, and they had this database of just like black everything, black doctors, black dentists, black this, black that, black nail technicians. And it lasted for like a year, but the page has thousands of people, but it's not that active. But we got to support our own. So today I was like, I'm vegan, and I wanted to get like a vegan treat at this spot that I've never been to. And when I went there, right next door is a black-owned grocery store. I was like, I didn't even know that this even exists. It's not the level of like Walmart or Kroger. It's very mom and pop-ish, but a lot of natural stuff. And I was just like, although it's like 35 minutes from my home, it is a place that I said, I'm going to be very intentional about supporting this place. So I think you can start with that, honestly, by just supporting our brothers and our sisters who are already doing things. Because one of my favorite quotes happens to be an African proverb, and it says, if you want to go fast, you go alone. But if you want to go further, you go together.
Right.
And I was just like, man, we can go together. We hold hands. We support. We use word of mouth. Because we use word of mouth and social media for every other grievance that we want to complain about. Why not in supporting, our brothers and our sisters who have businesses and companies and products to support? So I think that starts, because as you can see, the black dollar is very powerful. When we put it together back into not necessarily our communities, because let's just be real, a lot of us don't live in the communities where these businesses are. If we just patronize them, and I think that could be a great start. I'm all about putting your money where your mouth is. You know what I mean?
For me, I would say, that's definitely one part of it, but I would say just uplifting the urban community. I think we first have to start with changing the mindset of some of our people who are brainwashed based off of the American ways, and where we see each other as opponents instead of team players. That's why they have that whole crabs in a barrel. Like, we got to change our mindset and understand that we should not be against one another, that we should actually come in numbers so that we change the way that society sees us, the way that they depict the black culture. That's what I would say. Just change it. I think that's where it will start. You got to change the mindset. Like Harriet Tubman said it once. She said she could have saved a lot more slaves, but only if they knew that they were slaves. Mm-hmm. That's where I think. All right, we're gonna move on. Last question. Oh, let me see. Let me pick a good one. Mm-hmm. All right, so let's discuss the representation of resilience and the strength of a Black woman. That's a good way to end this. Talking about the movie, how the movie depicts the representation of the resiliency and the strength of a Black woman.
Then what about the Black man? Y'all gonna just leave us?
listen. Proud black girl. We talked about the man. You late?
Oh man, okay, that's good.
But yeah, for me, just seeing how, talk about the craft. Everybody was just picking up the Black man and understood their role, but also was trying to be stand on their own as well. But I just like the strength of the Black woman that was depicted in the movie, collectively, not just individually, but coming together and getting the job done and having the Black man's back. And it just goes to show, like we just said, like you do more with numbers than you do individually.
Facts.
Like I said, one of my favorite scenes in the movie is when Okoye and what's the other girl name? Okoye and Nakia. Yeah, was when they were getting shot at, and they came and the car had all blown up, but they both survived with no harm done to their body. Like that just to me just showed that there's nothing that you can do that's going to break down a Black woman. That we're always going to bounce back. That just showed like the strength of the Black woman for me.
I love that. I think that from the movie, you said my favorite scene that kind of depicted resiliency and whatnot, or just in general. Shy.
Just in general.
It's just so much. But I'll just go from the movie. The movie and people that I know personally. I love that. When you kind of like you just said, the Black woman is, no matter what you throw at her, she's gonna always bounce back. And I have friends and I have family members, and they had they've literally come through hell and back, but they did, because honestly, let's just be real, like you can't not persevere. Like what other option do you have? Most times there are no other options, and the same thing can be attributed to the movie. What other options did Nakia have? Because as a woman, she's a nurturer. As a woman, she, y'all just, thank God made men and women very different. You know what I mean? I'm so thankful for that, because just, she could have left, she could have done her own thing, but she was just like, man, this brother, he kind of needs me. We are stronger together as a unit. So that's definitely kind of what I would take from it. And, Black women just being resilient is powerful. It's powerful. It's profound. And yeah, that's my take on it.
All right. I'm gonna say this. I'll put this out there. With the Black man, with the Black man and how the Black man was depicted in this movie? Mm-hmm. What was your biggest takeaway from that?
I would say similar to the women, that they are resilient, that they are strong, that they do better with women around them who are empowering them, uplifting them, and really have their backs, and not breaking them down and those kinds of things. And it was leadership. It was it was positive, just great positive depiction of the Black man. Even in the individual tribes like Jabari, you know, I respected the fact that Black Panther didn't kill him when they had the battle, and it was like okay, this is the tradition. We have to fight. If you coming up against me, we gotta fight. And you know, and Black Panther was like, you know, I don't want to do this. I don't want to kill you, showing compassion. And all, because because at the end of the day, everybody wanted what was best for Wakanda. But it was just really strong male depictions throughout. You know, just strong Black people in general.
Yeah, for me, it was the brotherhood, like the brotherhood in totality, from from the two fighting, and even the what's his name, the one who was talking about we vegetarians, Mubaka. Like just that brotherhood. Like even though you know they fought for the throne initially, and Mubaka tapped out, but yet still, you know, when his people found Chadwick, you know, he brought him back. You know, and he tried to save him. You know, that right there, that was one talk about brotherhood and supporting each other. But even at the end, and Michael B. Jordan and Chadwick were fighting, and he still helped them up and walked them out of that little area. And you know, he was telling him like, you know, I can still help you. You know, we can still, you know, you can still survive. Like for me, it just that brotherhood, man.
Man, something about the movie that really struck me was, and this isn't like a specific to the male characters, but the sins of the father always play out.
Yeah.
And that, you know, with you know, Black Panther's father, with T'Challa, you know, what was his dad? His dad wasn't T'Challa, but with T'Challa's father killing his brother, and him, you know, in the coming back of Killmonger, and with, you know, Killmonger's father betraying Wakanda, you know, like it was just like the sins of the father always shows his head, and at some point, you know, we have to address them in order to make a change.
Yeah, that's a good point. Zob, you want to jump in this question? We're asking about the depiction of the Black man throughout this movie.
Oh yes, definitely. Yeah. Thank you guys for having me back. So I appreciated it. I appreciated it, you know, because it's just honestly, when you asked the question the first time, what made me really think about it is somebody mentioned the time.
Zai, you did hit a point with like the sins of the father. Like my great grandmom used to always tell me, you might not you be careful what you put out into the world. You be careful what you do in the world, because if it don't come back to you, it might come back to your kids. So you know, those roots are embedded in one of my favorite scenes that I ain't get to speak on, but it plays out into like the male role too. One of my favorite scenes and quotes in the movie is when T'Challa went back to see his father, and he said to his father, he said, "Father, I don't want you to leave me. Like I want to join you, or I want you to come back." And he said, "Son, you're a king, you know, but you're also a good man, and you will struggle." So I think that quote to me was strong and powerful, because it's like, you may have the heart of a king, but you might, you know, and that compassion comes through. But sometimes you gotta, like, do you wear your heart on your sleeve, or do you struggle with fighting, knowing what's right from wrong? And the way that compassion was able to come through and was able to be elaborated through the brotherhood was also like when M'Baka did save him, and you know, he said, you know, you a life for a life. You saved my life, and I saved your life. But in actuality, he didn't have to do that. That was him being a good man that his father told him he was. And like some of the things he was able to do, bringing back the colonizer back to Wakanda, when most would have said, when Okoye said, didn't he choose to do that? He jumped in front of that bullet. You know, it's so much like, and I feel like that is real life. Like when we're put into situations like brotherhood, sisterhood, whatever, and that's in our everyday life, we're put into situations where we know our strength, we know who we are, but do you put your heart on your sleeve to show that person compassion, or do you just keep moving like the next person who didn't see him either, So like that was one of my favorite quotes in the movie that played out into the male role in Black Panther, because I think every black man in that movie was I can't even put a word to it. It was like they executed their role. They was true to whatever, like, so one thing I could say about this movie is it showed the true word of loyalty throughout the movie. No matter if you didn't agree with Killmonger or you agreed with Killmonger or Okoye, Nakia, T'Challa, whoever, like every one of those people was true to what they believed in. Like you didn't, like Okoye, you might can say, well, one moment she turned, but she was still at the end of the day, she was loyal to the throne. She said it. My loyalty is with that throne. So like at the end of the day, like this movie showed the word. If people, like, I know people got tattoos all day. I got tattoos, but people get tatted on them loyalty all the time. You always say loyalty is royalty. This movie exhibited loyalty is royalty, because like you can't even call a villain because of the fact of his loyalty to what he believed in. So like, like I do appreciate the male role throughout the movie, because it's not one role I can sit and say, we all cheer for Black Panther. We even cheer for Killmonger, but some cheer for M'Baka. The men in this movie were powerful, just as strong as the women were. Like, I give a round of applause to every part in that movie. Everybody stuck true to their role, and it made you sit back and realize it was not one crab in the barrel. It was not.
That's what I loved
about crab. It was not one crab in the barrel. Like everybody, you couldn't knock the next person for what they believed in, because at the end of the day, they had a belief and they stood their ground with it. So again, I agree with you, Zai. Like, it does play out in the fathers. Like that did get passed down, because I think he said that to his son about, like, you're a king and you're a good man and you'll struggle, because I think his father had some of the same issues, and that's why I can't remember his name, played in Get Out.
Oh yeah.
His role, where he was mad at T'Challa because he was like, your father did this for as many years as he did, and he did nothing. And I think that's because he struggled with that component of compassion. Where some people are true to, they want to go to war, they ready to fight and believe, and some people also, like, yeah, they got that 1 foot in, like, I'll go to war, but my heart has to push me there. So yes.
Yeah, I think he was bitter. Because of I forget the guy name who killed his father.
Yeah. He wanted, he wanted eye for eye.
Yeah. So I think what was driving his passion was the bitterness and just the power of revenge. But I think what really got him was when what's her name?
Okoye,
yeah, when she, stood in front of him and, he asked her that question. What was it about? I can't remember word for word, but pretty much saying, who are you choosing? Who are you choosing?
Would you really kill me? And she said,
for
Wakanda, no doubt, or
no doubt. No. Yeah. And talk about loyalty. And it was at that point where he was like, he chose his heart. He really came to his senses. Sometimes it takes us that black woman to help him out. Well, I thought Xav was going to jump back in, because I know he wanted to give his spill on the brotherhood. But thank you, ladies. I appreciate you all joining us for this kickoff, this debut of Shy Speaks podcast. Again, I appreciate you. Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Zyhkeya. And thank you, Xav, for coming on. Call me Xav. He's having some little technical difficulty. But thank you all for coming on. And until next time, peace.
All right. Thank you, Shy Speaks.
Thanks for the invite. It was a pleasure.
No problem, ladies. No problem. Y'all take care.
All right.
All right.